Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another Tax Talk Tuesday. We are here on Tuesdays at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, giving you a tax talk on business, taxes, or your finances. And today we are talking about finances. Today we are going to touch on finances because it is the end of the year, right? It's the end of the year and it's the time when most of you as business owners, you start to think about your taxes, you start to think about your finances, you start to think about your business, and you're like, oh snap, it's time to get some things together. And so I want to talk to y'all today on 5 red flags. Okay, 5 red flags when it comes to your bookkeeping, and some signs that it might be time to switch what you're doing. It might be time to switch what you're doing. And so, if you are new to me, I am Chastity Grady at Grady Tax Plus. It is my number one goal to make sure that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets so that you can live a better life, right? Why? Because you deserve it. And one of the ways we're going to talk about how we're going to keep the IRS out of your pockets is looking at these 5 red flags. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. Let's jump right on in. Share this live to your favorite Facebook communities. Okay, share this live with your favorite Facebook communities. Let me just share this live with one more community, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started. I just want to make sure. Okay, perfect. I got to share this in one more Facebook community. I want to share this with my social workers and therapists with tax questions. Got it. All right, here we go. So, 5 red flags. Number one, the first red flag when it comes to your bookkeeping, okay, things that you should be uh, looking into, signs that you might need to change what you're currently doing, is if you don't have a bookkeeper who is asking you questions or verifying your transactions that are not clear, okay? So what does that look like? So oftentimes when you look at bookkeeping, and I didn't define what bookkeeping is, I'm going to assume you know what it is, right? This is when you're keeping up with your books, right? When we look at our books, we're talking about our numbers, we're talking about our money, right? What's coming in and out of our bank accounts of our business, right? And we need to keep up with that. We need to have record keeping. That's what the IRS calls it. Keeping up with our records, keeping up with what it is that's making up the financials of our company, of our business, right? Those are things that we need to keep track of, right? And so if you are working with someone who is not verifying what it is that's going on. So what does that look like? That looks like if a transaction comes in and they are not asking you questions like, "Hey, what was XYZ for?" And the reason why this is important is because we want to make sure that every dollar that we have coming in and out of our bank account, that it has an assignment. Okay, that's my favorite phrase, that every dollar has an assignment. And in order for us to assign the dollar to where it belongs, we need to know what it is, right? Sometimes it's not very clear. Let's say you purchase something from Walmart. Well, I can't assume that the Walmart's purchase was business related, because on the bank statement it's only going to say Walmart, okay? It's only going to say Walmart. It's not going to say that it was a printer on the bank statement. Okay, it's not going to show that. So I need to ask you questions. Hey, was this groceries? Was this personal? Or was it business, right? If someone is just assuming that everything that you're doing, all of your Amazon purchases, all of your Target, Home Depot, because I've been seeing Home Depot lately on statements, right? If someone is not verifying that those things are in fact business, because it could be personal, then that's a red flag, because they're not taking what you're doing seriously. They're not making sure that they're having a fine-tooth comb, that they have a magnifying glass. And this is important because we want to make sure that we're accurately keeping track, right? We want to make sure that we're accurately keeping track of our business income and expenses, right? I like to say we want to make sure that we're audit proofing, right? Throughout the whole bookkeeping process, you want to make sure that you're audit proofing, right? And that means that you're just making sure that everything that's in your records, everything that's in your financial records, if the IRS were to come and to examine that, you can feel confident in knowing that everything is correct. So if you have things that are uncategorized, or you have things that's just thrown in other places that it don't belong, then that's a red flag for you, right? That's a red flag for you. I'm going to move on to number two. When it comes to your income and expenses, right? And I know some of you who are doing your own bookkeeping, you get tripped up by this as well. And that is not reconciling. This is like the number one red flag that I see when it comes to bookkeeping, not reconciling. So, what does it mean to reconcile? What does that button mean when I see it in QuickBooks or whatever accounting software that you're using? What does reconciling even means? So, reconciling means that, okay, I'm using the accounting software to keep track, right? We understand that part, that the accounting software is going to allow us to keep track of our income and expenses. It's going to allow us to categorize to say, okay, that was office supply, that was advertising, that was supplies, whatever it is, right? It's going to allow us to categorize from whatever has come into our accounting software from our bank account. But what happens is softwares, they're not always correct. Softwares don't always do the right thing that we want it to do. So the reconcile lets us compare and match. Okay, this is what pulled in from my bank account. Is it correct? Is it truly reflecting what actually happened in my bank account? Right? So what does that look like? So that looks like I get my bank statement and I line up and I match, okay, at the end of the month as of September 30th or whatever is your end dates, that's important. Whatever is your end date on your bank statement. Okay, as of September 30th, 2025, the ending balance of my bank account or my checking account was, let's say, $5,000. So when I put that into the accounting software as of September 30th, 2025, the ending balance was $5,000. And I will cross my fingers, I like to say, I will cross my fingers and like hope and pray that it's gonna come back that it match. And if it comes back that it match, and when it matches, that means that there's a zero balance, there's nothing lingering, there's nothing additional or nothing that has been taken away. The balance should be zero. That means that it matches, right? And when it matches, it's like, okay, the software is doing what it's supposed to do, right? Everything's accounted for, nothing is missing. But what happens is when you don't reconcile, you don't know if the software is accounting for everything. What if it shows that the accounting software has missed some of your transactions? What if it's missing some of your deductions, your business expenses? What if it over reported your income? So now you're reporting more money that you've been paid out when maybe that's not true, right? But you wouldn't know that if you're not reconciling. And so the reason why I bring this up because typically most bookkeepers should be reconciling, but as I'm preparing tax returns as we're nearing the October 15th deadline, I went into someone's bookkeeping and I saw that it had some red flags. Like it literally was red that it says needs attention, right? Needs reconcile. Like it's not connecting. It's not the numbers are not numbering right now. And that's a concern because I'm like, okay, someone has given me their profit and loss. Someone has given me access to view this, but I don't know if it's correct because the reconcile is off. What if something is over-reported? What if we are over-reporting income on this person's return, which will make them pay more money in taxes? What if we're underreporting some of their business expenses? Right? This is why you have to make sure that the reconcile is being done every month to make sure you're not missing out. And sometimes people wait until the end of the year, but listen, who remembers what happened on January 1st? Who remembers what happened in February? Who remembers what happened in March? This is why you have to do it in real time because nobody remembers that stuff, right? We barely remember everything that we've done yesterday or on the weekend. So this is why we have to make sure that this is being done and it's a red flag if it's not. Okay. Moving on to number three, the third red flag when it comes to bookkeeping, and maybe a sign that you should switch from what you're doing or who you're working with. And that is when it comes to your financials, right? Your profit and loss statement or whatever statement that you're supposed to get, right? Not getting updates on that. Not getting updates on that. Not understanding what it is, right? Sometimes you have a bookkeeper who would just give you your profit and loss and you're like, okay, fine. But what if you don't understand what's on there, right? What if you don't understand what the numbers mean? Sometimes we get a profit and loss and we think it should be straightforward. But what if it's not? What if there's some things on the profit and loss that you have questions about that you don't understand, right? Sometimes, and I think this is one of the things as business owners, we are afraid to say when we don't understand something because you feel like you should understand the profit and loss. You should understand what to do with it. But oftentimes you don't, and you're afraid because you're like, oh, well, I'm getting my financials. I see, okay, I've made this, I spent this, but I don't, what am I supposed to do with the net profit? What does that mean with the money that's left over? And oftentimes if you're not working with someone who understands what to do with what is left over, what happens, what am I doing with the net profit, right? I've given y'all a strategy before during my lives when it comes to the net profit. And with that net profit, sometimes we think, oh, all of that belongs to me, and it doesn't. Right? There's a strategy that we have to use when it comes to our net profit, right? Our revenue, which is the money that we make, minus the business expenses, which is our tax deductions, equals our net profit. And what we do with that net profit is important, and having someone who can explain, okay, out of this net profit, this amount goes towards taxes. Depending on your business structure, this amount can be provided for you to actually pay yourself. This amount can go towards savings, right? When it comes to the net profit, there's a strategy that we have to use in order to make sure that we are keeping more of our money, that we are not on zero, right? We're not living, deposit to deposit, right? And having someone who can explain that to you and be available to you to explain versus just handing you a document and you don't know what you're supposed to do. You don't know what you're supposed to do. And at the beginning of my live series of Tax Talk Tuesdays, I explained to y'all that as a business owner, you have to know the language of business. Because you're in business, you need to know the language of it. And the language of business is accounting. And I know as business owners in the field that you're in, especially my social workers and therapists, you're like, well, I didn't go into business to know accounting, but you actually did. When you went into business, you actually went into business to know accounting because the language of business is accounting, which means that I need to know how to read my financials. I need to know what to do with my money when I'm making it. I need to know what to do with this because this is how I'm able to stay in business for the long term, for the long run. This is how I'm able to stay and make good business decisions, right? This is how I become a good business person if I understand just a little bit. I'm not telling you to know everything. I'm not telling you to know all there is about debits and credits and all the things. I'm not telling you that. But I am telling you, you do need to know just a little bit of the accounting language. I've given you some of it already. Revenue minus your expenses equals your net income, right? That's the business language. That's accounting language, right? Profit and loss, knowing that there's more than one financial statement, such as the balance sheet and what goes on that, right? Because we only hear profit and loss, we only talk about profit and loss, but there are other statements, the balance sheet, the cash flow, there are other statements that we need to know about, right? Not just profit and loss. All right, so that was number three. And then yesterday I made a Facebook post about how if your bookkeeper is still using the miscellaneous category, or even if If you're using the miscellaneous category, then it's time for you to get somebody else. It's time for you to get somebody else to do it. Nobody should be using a miscellaneous category. No one should have a other category on your profit and loss statement. So when I look at your profit and loss statement, I should not see miscellaneous with a number by it. I should not see other business expenses with a number by it. Remember I just told you, every dollar has an assignment. Every dollar needs to go in its place, and miscellaneous and other is not a place. I'm here to tell you that miscellaneous and other is not a place, okay? That is being very lazy. That you're just like, okay, I don't know what this is. I'm just going to lump it all together in one category and call it other, call it miscellaneous. No. Every dollar belongs somewhere, whether that's office expenses, whether that's legal and professional expenses, advertising, equipment, dues and subscriptions, education and training, consulting, accounting, whatever it is. Every dollar belongs somewhere. We don't put something in other, we don't put something in miscellaneous. That what that is doing is, it seems like you're hiding expenses. It seems like you're trying to hide things that don't belong. That's why I said it's important that the first tip I gave you, or the first red flag I gave you, was that if your bookkeeper isn't asking questions, isn't verifying your transactions, your expenses, right? And you just have it lumped into one category called miscellaneous or called other, that's like you're hiding. Like, what are you hiding that you can't assign it to the place that it belongs, right? Every dollar has a place to go. Okay? I don't care if it's the one thing. If it, if it's just mail and postage and you only have one thing, well, it's mail and postage. Or you can put it in the office expense if you want, or create the category for mail and postage. Every dollar needs to have an assignment, okay? Do not use, even if it's you doing it, do not use the miscellaneous or the other business expense category. Don't do it. Because where are we putting this on the tax return? If we just write the word miscellaneous and the IRS questions us, right? Our goal, remember, is to keep the IRS out of our pockets. What are we going to explain that we put in the miscellaneous category? That's like saying, oh, I'm doing miscellaneous things. What miscellaneous things are you doing in your business? Everything you're doing in your business belongs somewhere. So we should make sure that every category is reflective of what it is that that business expense is doing. Okay. All right. So I don't want to harp too much on that one. Just know that if you look at your profit and loss and it says miscellaneous as a category, it says other or other business expense as a category, run far away from that bookkeeper, and or run far away from you. Okay. Or run far away from you if you're doing that. Do not do that. That is a red flag, because what is in there? And where are we putting this on a tax return? Nowhere. Okay. All right. So I gave y'all one, two, three, four. I gave y'all four red flags. The fifth red flag, okay, when it comes to your bookkeeping or working with someone that it might be time to switch, is if they're only talking to you at tax time or when it's time for tax filing. Now, remember, I said if your bookkeeper is not asking questions, they're not verifying things, right? They're not reconciling, not providing you monthly updates. This is an ongoing, continuous relationship, right? You should be hearing from them throughout the year, and not when it's just time to file your taxes. Now, granted, sometimes people have plans structured where you can't communicate with them, and that's a red flag. You should be able to communicate with the person who is managing and looking at your numbers, right? I said before, you should be able to get updates. You should be able to ask questions to get understanding on what it is that's going on with your numbers, right? And also strategy, when it comes to strategy, your bookkeeper, you shouldn't be working with a basic bookkeeper who is not able to give you the strategy that you need in order for you to save money on taxes, right? I don't consider myself just being a bookkeeper. I'm a strategist for number one when it comes to being a bookkeeping strategist. Many of you don't know what a CFO is, so I don't use that terminology. But I apply strategy to the bookkeeping. When I look at the numbers, I say, okay, your net profit was this. What can we do to help you save money on taxes? Or you spent too much money in this area. What can we do to cut back? Maybe you're paying your contractors too much. What can we do so you can save more money, right? If you're always in the negative, if you're always in the loss, what is going on here, right? I have one client who is frequently in the negative, and it's my job to have that conversation to say, hey, look, what is going on? What are you doing with your money that all of the money that you're making is also all the money that you're spending, right? What is going on here? And you want to be able to have that relationship, because when it's time to file your taxes, it's actually too late of a conversation to have, because the year has gone, the year has closed. So what can we do now that the year is closed? Nothing, right? We can't go back and open up the year and try to change some stuff because it's already been sealed. So you have to make sure that you have someone, even if you don't, if you maybe you don't have anything to talk about, but at least have someone who you can talk to throughout the year if you have questions, who's going to understand what strategies to use. If you need tax advice, who can give you that, who has the tax knowledge. Because I'll tell you this, if you're working with a bookkeeper who also don't have tax knowledge, then you're at a disadvantage, because the two go together. They're married together. We like to try to separate, but the two are married together, right? The two are married, which is why sometimes I don't understand, which is fine. I get it. Everybody has their own way of doing business. That I have tax clients who they have a bookkeeper who don't file taxes, so they have me file the taxes, right? And I don't understand that, because the bookkeeper, they're the one who knows the numbers the best. They've been looking at it the whole year. So they're the best person to be able to explain on a tax return where this stuff goes. So if you are someone who I've run through these red flags and you're like, wow, I'm actually meeting all of those red flags. Or if you have at least one red flag, then it's time for you to make the switch. Okay? It's time for you to make the switch. And if you're someone who, I'm going to speak to you, if you haven't done anything all year, I'm going to leave in the comments for you in order for you to become a bookkeeping cleanup client. So what does that mean? So this is where I come in and I look at your bookkeeping for the whole year. You haven't had your bookkeeping done all year. You haven't even, listen, you were using a spreadsheet and you are behind. You should be in a bookkeeping software, but you're just afraid of that because it seems so big to you. But hey, you are a big business owner. So you have to treat yourself as such. You have to be the one to treat yourself like the big business owner that you are. Because when you start treating yourself as a big business owner, you start getting the benefits of a big business owner, right? When you stop playing small, you will stop making small money. When you start doing big things will come to you. I'm a believer of that. I'm a believer that if I play small in my business, if I do small business things, then I'm going to have small business things. But if I come into my business as the big business that it is, with the mindset that my business is all of that in a bag of chips with a soda on the side, then I'm going to reap the harvest and the benefit of that. So if you need your bookkeeping cleaned up for the whole year so you can be prepared when it comes to tax time, okay? So you can be prepared when it comes to filing your taxes. So you can be prepared before the year ends, so you know what strategies can we use to help me save money on taxes. I don't know how much money I'm gonna have to pay next year in taxes. I need to know that now. Did you know that you can know how much money that you need to have for taxes next year? Did you know that? Did you know that you don't have to wait until next year to know how much you're going to owe in taxes, that we can do it, run an analysis and find that out, and then have about 2.5 months left in a year to come up with strategies for you to save money now? Did you know that? This is what the big businesses are doing. This is what the big business owners are doing. They're not waiting until January, February, March, and April to look at their numbers. They're looking at it now. This is how the big business owners pay the least amount of taxes, because we're looking at things right now. What can I do right now? And a lot of us want to have the results of that without having the work done. We have to do the work. So if you're on Facebook, I've put a link in the comments for you to become a bookkeeping cleanup client. So the link, when you click the link, it's going to have like a questionnaire, your name, your email address, as well as if you're using a software. And if you're ready, and I ask you a question, if you are ready to start being in a better place when it comes to your finances. And if you are, you'll be able to schedule an appointment with me so that we can start doing this now, so that we can start getting your business money in order, right? How would it feel to sleep good at night knowing that your business finances are in order? That you know where you stand from a tax standpoint. How would that make your sleep? How much better would your sleep would be for your business if you had this kind of relaxation, if you had this kind of relief? It will make you show up differently in your business. It will make you give your all to your clients and not give 50% and give that 120%. It will make you give that because you don't have to worry about what's going on in the back end, because it's all taken care of. It's tight and right, like I like to say. How would it be if you could just operate your business with that kind of relief and relaxation and peace? You'll be able to start moving some mountains, right? The mountains that's in front of you, you'll be able to move them. You'll be able to move them by making this one switch, by making this one change in your business, looking at the money, looking at the numbers. Because guess what? Sometimes we look at our numbers and we think that we made what we made, and then we realize, oh, I actually didn't make what I thought I did. I actually need to I actually need to, you know, make some more money to get to the goals I have for myself. Or you find that, oh, you're actually close to reaching your first six figures. I have some clients who are about to reach their first six figures in their business, and I'm super excited for them. For number one, I'm excited because that is a huge milestone for some people. And I know we like to say, oh, making 100,000, that's not no money. But for some people, it is. And some people, they need to see that first 100,000 so that they can see 200, 300, 400, a million. Because before you even see a million or 500,000, you got to see 100,000 first. And I'm super excited that I have some clients, some bookkeeping clients who are listen, they're about to touch their first six figures in their whole entire life. They didn't have a job making six figures. Six figures wasn't passed down to them. Come on, somebody. And they are about to reach their first six figures from off of their own backs, from what they started, from the vision that God gave them with starting their business, starting their practices. And they are about to touch their first six figures. And I'm super excited for them, not only because they're about to touch it, but because they knew that they needed to have their bookkeeping order from the very beginning. They knew that if they were going to be the big business that they know deep down inside that they knew that they needed to know what their numbers are, that they needed to have their income and expenses managed so that they can see what's coming in and going out. They knew this, and now they are starting to reap the rewards. They are starting to reap what was planted, what they planted when they planted that seed. They are about to reap it now. I have one client who is, last time we spoke last week, she was emotional. She was emotional because she not only reached her first six figures, but now she's in the beyond section of it, six figures and beyond. And she told me that no one in her family has ever made more than $100,000. That she is the first one. Not only is she the first generation, first college, first generation college student. She's not a student. She's well beyond her. She's older, but she was the first person to go to college in her family. She was the first person to leave her home and move to another city. She was the first person to be a business owner. And now she is the first person to hit six figures from her own back, from what she started, not from a job, but from what she started. Some of the business owners I work with, social workers and therapists, they would never see six figures working for a company unless they're like the CEO, executive director, and that's even sometimes even in those roles they're not making six figures. Some of them will never see six figures working for somebody else. And the social workers and therapists that I'm working with, they started their own business. They started their own practice because they knew they had what they had deep down inside of them, that they could do it. And they hired me to manage their money while they were serving their clients, so they can worry about serving their clients. They don't have to worry about when tax season come, hooping and hollering and being stressed out. They don't have to worry about that level of stress. They can just walk in their purpose and do what God has called them to do and counsel y'all, give y'all the therapy and coaching that y'all need while I'm managing their money, while I'm filing their taxes accurately. And now like I said, I have clients who are reaching their first six figures, and now many of them are going to the beyond part of it. And it's the beyond part that I'm super excited for. They're over the six figure, that 100K mark. They're over it. I have some who are getting to their first 200,000. That might not seem like a lot to some of you, some of you who make more than that, but for some of you who haven't even touched your first six figures, in order in order to see beyond that, you have to reach the first six. And how would it feel knowing that you are reaching your first six figures, you are reaching beyond six figures, and you get to sleep good at night knowing that your business finances are in order? You don't have to try to backpedal and figure out, oh my gosh, now I'm making six figures. Now what I got to do? No, you don't have to do that. So if you're on Facebook, in the comments, I put a link for you. If you're on TikTok, if you go to the link in my bio, you can go to my Instagram page that has a link. I'm sorry for the workaround, but I don't have the option to put the direct link on TikTok. But you can go to my Instagram profile, click the link in my bio, and you will have this same link so that you can have a conversation with me about your bookkeeping. You heard me talk about social workers and therapists. I do work primarily with them because I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I am the number one person who can help them because I understand the field. I've worked in the field for 11 years. But I also work with people who are consultants. If you're a coach, I have travel agents that I work with, okay? Content creators, service-based business owners. If you fall in that category, I'm also able to help you as well. I'm also able to help you have that level of comfort at night. So when you're fluffing your pillows at night, it's actually a fluff. You're not beating it. You're not beating that pillow trying to figure out which side you want to sleep on. But you're actually able to fluff it and rest peacefully at night, knowing that the money side, the tax side is A-OK. So I want to provide that level of comfort for you. So click the link in the comments. If you are someone who don't need a bookkeeping cleanup, maybe you just need to switch. You just need to switch who you've been working with. Maybe they've been keeping up with things, but they're not giving you that level of comfort, that level of peace, that level of relaxation that you need. So what I'm going to do, I'm also going to leave a link in the comments for you if you need to switch your monthly bookkeeping services. I am accepting new monthly clients. Okay. And the link I'm going to put in the comments for you, it's going to have the packages. I offer 3 packages. My most popular one allows us to meet. It allows me to give you that tax advice that you need. It allows us to analyze and come up with the strategies. I didn't even talk about paying yourself. You know, I love talking about paying yourself if you follow me. You know, I love talking about that. And I didn't even talk about that part of it because that's a huge deal. And many bookkeepers, they're not talking to you about how to make sure you're paying yourself so you don't bankrupt your business. So I'm going to leave that in the comments for you as well. All right. All right. I'm going to leave that for you in the comments. Monthly services. All right, y'all. I hope this live has blessed you. I hope that you take the 5 red flags that we talked about today when it comes to your bookkeeping and you examine yourself, you assess what is going on currently with you and see, okay, am I doing the right thing for myself? If you're doing your own bookkeeping, if you're working with someone, are they in your best interest? And if they're not, it's time to make your switch. And like I told y'all before, it's my number one goal that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets. Why? Because we want you to live a better life. And I do believe you can live a better life through your business. I do believe that the life that you desire to live, your business is able to give it to you. We just got to have the strategy to make sure that the IRS, number one, is not trying to take more money than they should with tax strategies. And in order for us to even get to the tax strategies, we got to look at the money. We got to look at the numbers. And that's where bookkeeping comes in. Okay? So there you go. That will complete today's live. I'm also just going to go ahead and leave a calendar link in my comments here for Facebook if you need to schedule a consultation with me, because I know we are getting ready to go towards the tax filing season, and you may need to look at the tax part now. Maybe you need a tax analysis to see, hey, how much will I owe? What can we do so I don't owe this money? Okay. So I can keep more of my own money and not give it to the IRS. What can we do? I'm going to leave that for you in the comments on Facebook. All right. We are here every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time talking about taxes, business, or finances. Today, we were talking about finances. Okay, but every week, every Tuesday at 7 a.m., we are here talking about a specific topic as it relates to one of those 3 things, right? Now, I mentioned to y'all last week, next week, we won't be here next week. It's gonna be my off week. Okay, as a business owner, I have the luxury of deciding when I want to take vacations, right? That's why I said live a better life through your business. I have made it my mission to live a better life through my business. So next week, I'm taking the whole week off. My son is off from school, so I'm not meeting with anybody. I'm not going live. I go live Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I'm not going live unless the Lord leads me, but I'll go live. But other than that, I'm not going live. I'm going to enjoy being with my family. I'll do administrative work. But I can do that because I set my business up for me to be able to live that way. And you can too. You see many business owners who they work and work and work. They don't have no time off. They don't go on vacation. Listen, your girl's going on vacation. Your girl's gonna have a good life. Why? Because I deserve it. That's why I tell y'all. My goal is to keep the IRS out of your pockets because you deserve to live a better life. And I deserve to live a better life. So that's why next week I'm not gonna be live. I'm gonna be with my family, my son. Like I said, it's off the whole week of school for fall break. So we're gonna take him to amusement parks. We're gonna take him wherever you want to go. Okay, we're gonna travel. We're gonna do what we want to do. But if you have an urgent need, I'll be available. If you have an urgent tax need, the IRS has given you a letter. They say they about to level your bank accounts. They about to take your money. Then okay, call me. I'll answer. I'll answer because we got to deal with that. But other than that, get on my calendar. Okay, so if you don't get on my calendar for this week, you can get on my calendar for the week after next week because I have limited spots available. So go ahead and get on my calendar. Do all the things so that you can be able to work with me. Do it now. Okay, do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. So I put the link in the comments for you on Facebook, my calendar link if you need monthly bookkeeping services or if you need a cleanup. Those three are in the comments. So smash the link. All right. We will be back here next. Oh, not next. See, we're not gonna be back unless the Lord leads me. We won't be back here next week. In 2 weeks, we'll be back here in 2 weeks, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. My next live is on Friday. My Fire Your Boss Fridays. If you are someone who want to fire your boss for good one day and live the life that you deserve and desire to live through your business, every Friday I'm giving you tips and resources and tools on how to do that through your business without coming up with a new business, without joining somebody's team. No, we're just gonna utilize what's already inside of you in order for you to do that. We're doing a $1,000 savings challenge. How to save $1,000 without getting another job, without trying to make more money. Right? I told y'all that 60% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved right now in their personal bank account that has nothing to do with money for their bills that they're holding. 60% of people do not have $1,000 saved, and we are in 12 weeks. I'm showing you how to save $1,000 without breaking the bank. I'm showing you where to get it from. Just before I end this live, let me just tell you where we are thus far so that you can be prepared on Friday when I'm back here at 7 a.m. Central. I told y'all to look through your business, not your business, your personal bank account. Look through there for apps or subscriptions that you're no longer using so that you can save $30. The second one I gave you was that sell an item. Look through your clothes, your shoes, your whatever you have that's stored in your home that you're not using that you can sell on Facebook and Facebook communities, on marketplace and groups or whatever, to get $40. Okay. The third thing I told y'all, let me look because I'm drawing a blank, and then we're gonna wrap this live up, and I'll talk to y'all on Friday, where we talk in detail. The third thing I told y'all, oh yeah, I said last week that y'all wasn't supposed to be eating out all week, that you was gonna save some money by just cooking at home, and then to put back $25 there. So that if you've been following the steps, then you should have $95. All right. And then this upcoming week, I'll share with y'all on Friday. You got to join me on Friday at 7 a.m. Central Time to see what can you do to save. What's the number? To save $50, and that's going to bring you to $145, and then you're a little over 10% there already, right? And if you keep following the steps, you will have your $1,000. And so when Christmas time come and you spend all your money on Christmas stuff, you gonna have $1,000 there, because this is gonna have us having $1,000 before Christmas gets here. All right, how does that sound? If that sounds good, then make sure you're following me. Make sure you follow me. Make sure you're here Friday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can also join our Facebook community. Fire Your Boss Fridays is what it's called. Fire Your Boss Fridays. That's our Facebook community. I'm gonna wrap it up now. I'm acting like the church pastor who have been ending the sermon but still talking. So again, I'll see y'all on Friday, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and then I'll see you in 2 weeks for our next Tax Talk Tuesday. Have a good Tuesday, y'all.